This episode of Marijuana Today Daily is brought to you by MJ Today Media, publishers of this podcast, our weekly show Marijuana Today, and the excellent Green Rush podcast, which talks to a different, interesting person each week doing interesting things in legal cannabis. Check out MJ Today Media over at mjtodaymedia.com and the Green Rush podcast at greenrushpodcast.net. Good morning, Marijuana Nation. It's Tuesday, April 23rd, 2019, and you're tuned in to episode 710 of Marijuana Today Daily. I'm your host, Shay Gunther, and I'll be walking you through today's marijuana news and headlines. As always, we have a full and busy day of cannabis news on our hands, so let's jump right into it. We start today's news off up here in my corner of the country in Maine, where yesterday the draft set of rules that will govern the state's soon-to-launch adult-use sales program were released thanks to a Freedom of Information Act request filed by the Portland Press Herald. The set of regulations has been developed by Colorado-based consulting firm Friedman & Koski and runs 73 pages in full, which you can read yourself over at the Herald. I took as much time as I could this morning to scan through the comprehensive draft rules, which set in place how licensed cultivation and sales will work, with testing labs and other bits and parts to come later. Again, these are draft rules right now and will later be finalized and put forth before the state legislature for final approval. But again, take the time today and give this one a read, even if you don't do business up here in Maine. California-based marijuana company Pax Labs, makers of the popular Pax line of vaporizers, just confirmed that it had wrapped up a round of fundraising that totals $420 million, making it the largest equity raise as of yet for an American cannabis company. Pax had initially set out to raise $150 million, but opened the round up to the larger, iconic total of $420 million after seeing larger demand among investors. This is a big deal in a sea of recent big deals, so I'd direct you over to Marijuana Business Daily for the full detailed read. As always, we have all the news we cover linked to on our website at mjtodaydaily.com and on our Twitter account at mjtodaydaily. Today's final top story is a great pickup by Kyle Yeager over Marijuana Moments of a study out of Kansas State University showing that legalizing marijuana, either medical or adult use, does not cause any kind of increase in the rate of fatal car accidents in legal states. The vast majority of studies that purport to show that legalizing cannabis causes more car accidents are cherry-picked propaganda trash studies put out by biased prohibitionist agencies like the Rocky Mountain High Intensity Drug Traffic Area. But according to the study done by Kansas State University grad student Andrew Young, neither adult use or medical marijuana legalization led to any kind of noticeable rise in the rate of fatal car accidents in the states studied. We're going 3 for 3 on the top stories that I would recommend you read in full. This is a huge industry bugaboo that we all have to be equipped to battle. Those are our top stories for today. It's time for Marijuana Today Daily Headlines Blitz. Before we blitz out in headlines, let's quickly thank our sponsor, MJ Today Media, publishers of this podcast, our weekly show, Marijuana Today, and the excellent Green Rush podcast, which talks to a different, interesting person each week doing interesting things in legal cannabis. Besides being the best place in legal marijuana to spend your marketing budget, we're also really good at making podcasts, so we can help you produce your own cannabis industry-specific show. It's not cheap, but it's a hugely cost-effective way of getting your message out there into the world. Podcasting is the hottest new medium around, and marijuana is the hottest new legal business around, so what could be better than combining the two? If you have a healthy marketing or communications budget and an interest in getting your own show started, get in touch with me by email at shay@mjtodaymedia.com. That's shay@mjtodaymedia.com, with Shay spelled S-H-E-A. And as always, do the same if you want to get started as a sponsor. All right, time for the blitz. The New York Daily Times is reporting that on Saturday, April 20th, the New York City Police Department couldn't help themselves and busted up a bunch of people riding their bikes around the city on weed. Dozens of police officers showed up at an annual event called the 420 Race and Bake and not only arrested the event's organizer on a 2015 open container violation warrant, but also hauled away 4 bikes from event participants because the bikes did not have bells on them, per city policy. That is some seriously effective police work. Amanda Scriver over at Leafly has an important article up about the lack of sustainability in the legal marijuana industry in Canada. This is one of legal marijuana's big open sores and is something we need to get a solid handle on sooner rather than later. The image up north of overpackaged cannabis goods leaving behind mountains of plastic waste is one we absolutely see down here in the States. We do not want our industry's biggest long-term legacy to be billions of plastic pre-roll tubes polluting the landscape. Read this one, get current on the issue, and fight against plastic packaging. Glacier Media put together a well-referenced story on the price of marijuana, both legal and illicit, up in the Canadian market. Federal agency StatsCannabis released some new numbers last week that Glacier nicely ran through the charting system tableau. You shouldn't be surprised to hear that cannabis consumers in Canada report that they get cheaper marijuana from illicit dealers than they do the newly legal adult use market, with legal cannabis running an average of $9.99 per gram and illicit marijuana at $6.37 a gram, with both figures in dollars Canadian. On Friday, a Denver County judge found not guilty one of the co-founders of the Denver-based International Church of Cannabis on the charge of allowing public marijuana consumption. Lee Malloy was charged back in 2017 after a 420 event at his church, where he was also hit with violating the state's Clean Air Act. Undercover police officers said they were able to get into a restricted event where marijuana was consumed, even as Malloy and other church owners maintained that they kept the event private. On Monday, the Denver City Council voted to reject a proposed change to the city's rules for where legal marijuana consumption businesses can be located. Right now, there's a 1,000-foot buffer required for the siting of those social consumption spaces between them and places like city rec centers, daycare facilities, schools, and addiction treatment businesses. I picked up on this one last week as there was a proposal to cut that 1,000-foot buffer in half to 500 feet for all categories but schools, which would have opened up approximately 5 new square miles of possible space. The proposal actually received 7 votes in favor against 5 opposed, but needed a supermajority of 9 votes to pass. There is a pile of lawsuits that have been filed down in Nevada over the way the state issued marijuana business licenses during a second wave of issuance back in December that will receive a collective day in court on May 24th. Judge Elizabeth Gonzalez announced the date yesterday to more than a dozen lawyers representing people who lost out in the December licensing process, where 462 applications were put forth for just 61 new licenses. And finally for today, Matt Lamers over Marijuana Business Daily has a good piece up about the recently picked up coverage by Bank of America Merrill Lynch of the legal cannabis industry. One of the trends that the first report picked up on was the interest Canadian companies would show in American markets, something we've seen play out in real time with the just announced deal between Canadian marijuana behemoth Canopy Growth and U.S. multi-state cannabis operator Acreage Holdings. Matt's story picks up on other interesting parts of the report and is worthy of a read. Those are the headlines and news for the day. I'll be back with you again tomorrow morning with another information-packed episode of Marijuana Today Daily. But in the meantime, if you have any stories to share or feedback to give, zip us an email to headlines@mjtodaydaily.com. And while you're clicking around the interwebs, swing over to our Twitter account at mjtodaydaily. Visit our website at mjtodaydaily.com to find links to all the news we cover. Thanks to our sponsor, MJ Today Media, and to all of our awesome Patreon listeners for the support that makes this show possible. To join the illustrious ranks of the Patreon listeners yourself, swing over to our website at mjtodaydaily.com and click on that big blue button at the top of the page that says Become a Patron. I'm your host, Shay Gunther. Thanks for tuning in, starting your day with marijuana today.
One take, Shay. One take.